Star Wars is a gift everywhere you look at it. One of those gifts is the ability to work with ILM. Every time they do a project, they solve a new problem.
Part of the DNA needs to be that audacity to think that we'll figure it out. That same spirit of fearlessness, that thread goes throughout ILM in its history.
It's not a singular mission. It's like an army collaborating to try and create this idea that everything happened. If you can somehow create that illusion, then in my mind we've succeeded.
We're able to take the best tools for the craft and combine different techniques. They're all there for a reason. They're all part of the story. And that comes from Kathy. She believes, she is completely fearless, and that is inspiring.
I love the creative process, so working with ILM has been a huge benefit. And I think the level of imagination that could be brought into storytelling expanded exponentially.
We have a really great art department here who worked with JJ right from the beginning, helping spark off story ideas and delve deeper into the characters, and I think that comes out in the work. A lot of the practical skills that is used in principal photography, we have folks who have those skills, and we have translated those skills into the digital realm.
My mind went to how are we going to do this in the most convincing possible way to create this grand illusion.
JJ was very specific. He wanted to build real sets at the same time as CG when he needs to. That was hugely exciting.
The worlds are kind of colliding in the filmmaking process. We wanted to use the VFX purely to fill in the storytelling gaps, and so restraint was the huge word that we used a lot in the design process.
There are definitely many visual challenges in The Force Awakens that have pushed the bar. Now that we have offices in Vancouver, Singapore, London, as well as in San Francisco, it's enabled us to bring in the best artists in visual effects from around the world.
Han Solo!
Lupita could actually perform as a normal human, which suddenly released her, and we could actually composite that as she was performing on the motion capture stage in real time.
Somebody said to me, what's the magic? And to me, the magic is when we were doing Mars, you saw Lupita just make that character come to life.
She looks like she fits in. They've done an extraordinary job bringing a character to life in CG that you would never know.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
I've thrown in the performance without knowing how he's going to manifest. And that's quite exciting, really.
Andy's a veteran of performance capture, and JJ was very happy running with him, seeing what ideas he had, what we could do. It was quite traditional, active mocap suit, cameras, head cam. We performed it live on set, and it all went really, really well.
We try incredibly hard to make sure that the audience doesn't suddenly jump when they see these characters.
Maz and Snoke were both examples of how can we use technology that we have today to bring new characters to life. Using the performance capture technology to have real people inhabit these characters, I think, is really just an extension of having a puppeteer using a puppet. I think that's one way that we've been able to take technology from today and really breathe new life into some of these characters.
I got a bad feeling about this.
The fun of the Rathtars is we wanted to create this kind of slightly crazy, but just fun moment inside the freighter.
Those kind of creatures you couldn't really do practically. You know, we had these huge creatures with these huge mouths and super long tentacles grabbing people. That kind of stuff's great when you do it in CG.
It was sort of like a mini Release the Kraken with these crazy creatures moving around. They did this really wild thing where the creature would roll, and it just gave it a completely different kind of quality. It was kind of a weird Rathtar, Indiana Jones homage in there.
We know what a TIE fighter looks like. We know what an X-Wing looks like. This movie has new versions.
A black X-Wing. The coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
As a kid, I knew how to draw an X-Wing and a TIE fighter simply because it took like 4 lines to draw those things.
My 7th birthday, I came out of the theater and I want to make those spaceships fly on the screen. Cut to 38 years later, and I'm sitting here, my mum calls me up and says, son, you're doing it, you're the guy flying the spaceships around. The Falcon is a real character in the movie, and people know it very well. Flying the Falcon through the graveyard and then getting chased by TIE fighters. Off it goes, because it's the fastest ship in the galaxy.
When we started, I remember being excited about building the Falcon, and thinking, we'll look at the miniatures, but we're gonna make just the most beautiful Falcon you've ever seen. Going to actually look at the 5-foot Falcon that they built in 1976, and I walked away from that thinking, if we can make our digital version look that good, we will be successful.
We really wanted to make as iconic as possible, so we are trying to utilize more than just rendering the CG elements.
On the original miniature of the Falcon, the model makers put on lots of little decals, and when we were doing research, we photographed all these teeny little graphics that they put on, and we put those onto our model. So in lots of ways, our Falcon really takes its cue from the very original Falcon right down to some of the smallest little details that you'll never see on screen, but we know they're there.
Any shot in The Force Awakens has a great tapestry of different techniques, to an extent that you really can't tell what's digital, what's real, and they're all there for a reason. They're all part of the story.
ILM has, and Star Wars really changed the way you saw what was possible in terms of visual effects. Bringing to life these worlds and these planets and these ships. I can't say enough about ILM. It's the most remarkable work being done, and I hope that audiences appreciate what they're doing.
What makes it so challenging and so exciting is so many people care about it. But my goal, if you like, is for people to just watch the movie and imagine that these things happened for real.